If you've ever called a plumber for what seemed like a small job and then opened that invoice, you know the sting. 200, 300, sometimes $400 for something that took them 20 minutes. Here's the thing. After 3 decades of working on pipes, I can tell you that most of those jobs are ones you can absolutely do yourself with a few basic tools and a little guidance. Today, I'm walking you through 5 plumbing jobs that homeowners overpay for every single day, and I'll show you exactly how to handle each one on your own. Stick around for number 5, because that one catches people off guard more than any other. And the bonus tip at the end could save you from a disaster before it ever starts. The first job you're almost certainly overpaying for is fixing a running toilet. This is hands down the number one call plumbers get. And it's also the one where the markup between what you pay and what the repair actually costs is the most ridiculous. A running toilet usually comes down to one of 3 parts inside the tank: the flapper, the fill valve, or the flush valve. 9 times out of 10, it's the flapper. That's the little rubber piece at the bottom of your tank that lifts up when you flush and then seals the water back in afterward. Over time, that rubber warps, cracks, or gets coated in mineral buildup, and it stops making a clean seal. Water slowly leaks from the tank into the bowl. Your fill valve keeps topping things off, and your water bill creeps up month after month. Some folks don't even realize it's happening until they notice the bill is $30 or $40 higher than usual. Here's how you fix it. Turn off the water supply at the shut-off valve behind the toilet, usually down near the floor on the left side. Flush the toilet to drain most of the water from the tank. Then reach in, unhook the old flapper from the 2 pegs on either side of the flush valve, and disconnect the chain from the flush handle lever. Take that old flapper with you to the hardware store so you can match the size. Most toilets use a 2-inch or 3-inch flapper, and a universal replacement costs somewhere between $5 and $12. Snap the new one onto the same pegs, reattach the chain with about ½ an inch of slack, turn the water back on, and let the tank fill. If the running stops, you just saved yourself at least $150. If the flapper wasn't the problem, the next suspect is the fill valve. That's the tall piece on the left side of the tank that controls the water flowing in. A complete fill valve replacement kit runs about $8 to $15 and comes with clear instructions. You don't need any special tools. A pair of adjustable pliers, and maybe 15 minutes is all it takes. The second job that costs way more than it should when you call a pro is replacing a kitchen or bathroom faucet. Plumbers regularly charge $200 to $450 for this, and a big chunk of that is pure labor. The truth is, once you understand what's happening under that sink, a faucet swap is genuinely straightforward. Most modern faucets come with everything you need right in the box, including the supply lines, mounting hardware, and step-by-step instructions designed for homeowners. Start by turning off both the hot and cold shut-off valves under the sink. Open the faucet to release any remaining pressure. Then get yourself under the sink with a flashlight and a basin wrench. A basin wrench is one of those tools that looks strange but exists for exactly this purpose. It's a long-handled wrench with a pivoting jaw at the end that lets you reach up behind the sink to loosen the mounting nuts that hold the old faucet in place. Without one, you'll be fighting tight spaces and skinned knuckles. With one, it takes about 2 minutes to get those nuts off. Once the mounting nuts are loose, disconnect the supply lines from the shut-off valves. Have a small bucket or towel underneath to catch any residual water. Lift the old faucet out from the top of the sink. Clean up any old plumber's putty or silicone around the mounting holes, and then set your new faucet in place. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for tightening everything down. Hand tighten the supply line connections first, then give them a quarter turn with pliers. You do not want to over-tighten these because that's how you crack a fitting and create a new leak. Turn the water back on slowly. Check underneath for drips, and you're done. The whole process usually takes between 30 and 45 minutes, even if it's your first time. One tip that makes a big difference if you have limited mobility or tight cabinet spaces is to use a small folding stool or a piece of foam padding to kneel on. There's no reason to punish your knees for a job that should feel satisfying, not painful. The third job you're overpaying for is clearing a clogged drain. This is another one that plumbers love to see on the schedule because it's fast money. A service call for a clogged kitchen sink or bathroom drain typically runs $150 to $350. And most of the time, the clog is sitting right there in the P-trap or within the first couple feet of pipe. You can handle this without chemicals, without fancy equipment, and usually without breaking a sweat. Let me walk you through the right way to do this. First, try a simple plunger, not the kind with the flange on the bottom that's made for toilets, but a flat cup plunger designed for sinks. Fill the sink with a couple inches of water to create a seal. Place the plunger flat over the drain opening and give it 15 to 20 firm pumps. That pressure change alone clears most minor clogs. If that doesn't do it, the next step is to go after the P-trap. That's the curved section of pipe underneath your sink shaped like the letter U or P. Place a bucket directly underneath it. Then use channel lock pliers or just your hands, if the slip nuts are plastic, to loosen the two connections on either end of the trap. Let the water and debris fall into the bucket. You'll often find the clog sitting right there in the bin, a nasty mix of grease, soap buildup, hair, and who knows what else. Clean the trap out, put it back together, and run the water. For bathroom sinks and tubs where hair is the main culprit, a simple 25-inch plastic drain snake, sometimes called a zip tool, works wonders. You feed it down into the drain, and the tiny barbs along the edges grab onto hair clogs and pull them right out. These cost about $3 to $5, and they're reusable. The key thing to remember is to never pour chemical drain cleaners down your pipes as your first solution. Those products contain harsh chemicals that eat away at older pipes and fittings over time, especially if you have older galvanized or cast iron drain lines. They're a temporary fix that creates long-term problems. By the way, if you're finding this advice helpful, you should know it's just a small sample of what I've put into my new guide, The Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It's packed with step-by-step instructions for hundreds of repairs that can save you thousands. To grab your copy, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now, or just use the first link in the description below. All right, let's continue. The fourth job homie owners overpay for all the time is fixing a leaky pipe joint or compression fitting. Now, I understand why this one intimidates people. When you see water dripping from a pipe connection, your brain immediately goes to worst case scenarios: flooding, water damage, mold, thousands in repairs. But the reality is that most leaky joints, especially around compression fittings under sinks or at water heater connections, are simple fixes that require nothing more than a wrench and maybe a cheap replacement part. Compression fittings are those small brass or chrome connections you see where a supply line meets a shutoff valve or where smaller water lines connect to fixtures. They work by using a small ring called a ferrule that gets pressed tight around the pipe when you tighten the nut. Over time, these can loosen slightly from vibration, temperature changes, or just age. The first thing to try is simply tightening the compression nut about a quarter turn clockwise with an adjustable wrench. Do not crank on it, just a gentle quarter turn. Then dry the area completely with a paper towel and wait 10 minutes. Check again. If it's dry, you're done. If tightening didn't solve it, the ferrule itself may be worn or damaged. Turn off the water supply, loosen the nut all the way, and slide it back to inspect the ferrule. If it looks scored, cracked, or deformed, you can replace it. A pack of assorted compression ferrules costs about $3 to $5 at any hardware store. Bring the old one with you to match the size. For threaded pipe joints that are leaking, the fix is often even simpler. Shut off the water, unscrew the joint, clean off any old thread sealant, and wrap the male threads with fresh Teflon tape. Wrap it clockwise so it doesn't unravel when you screw the fitting back together. 3 to 4 wraps is usually plenty. Screw it back on, hand tight first, then about 1 to 1.5 turns with a wrench. Turn the water back on slowly and check. A single roll of Teflon tape costs about $1 and lasts through dozens of repairs. The fifth and final job you're overpaying for is replacing a water supply line or shutoff valve. This is the one most people don't think about until something goes wrong, and when it does, they panic and call a plumber immediately. I understand that instinct, but this job is far more approachable than it seems, and doing it proactively can actually prevent a catastrophic failure down the road. Those flexible supply lines running from your shutoff valves to your faucets, toilets, and water heater have a lifespan. Rubber and vinyl lines tend to last about 5 years. Braided stainless steel lines last longer, usually 8 to 12 years, but they don't last forever either. When they fail, they can release a shocking amount of water in a very short time. A burst supply line in an unoccupied house is one of the leading causes of major water damage claims. Replacing one is straightforward. Turn off the water at the shutoff valve. Place a towel underneath. Unscrew the old line from both ends, the valve side and the fixture side, using adjustable pliers. Take the old line to the hardware store to match the length and fitting sizes. Most connections are either 3/8 inch or 1/2 inch compression. Install the new braided stainless steel line by hand, tightening both ends first, then snugging each connection about a quarter turn with pliers. Turn the water on slowly and inspect for drips. Now, what if the shutoff valve itself is the problem? Old gate valves, the kind with a round wheel handle, are notorious for seizing up or failing to shut off completely after years of not being turned. If your valve won't close all the way or it's leaking from the stem, it's time to replace it. The easiest swap is to a quarter turn ball valve. These use a simple lever handle and are far more reliable. If your existing valve is a compression style connection, you can often remove it and install the new ball valve without any soldering at all. Just make sure you shut off the water at the main before you start, and open a faucet at the lowest point in the house to drain residual pressure. A quarter turn ball valve costs between $8 and $15 and will outlast anything else in your plumbing system. This is one of those jobs where spending 20 minutes now could genuinely save you from a $5,000 water damage claim later. And now, for the bonus tip that professional plumbers swear by. Once a year, go around your house and exercise every shut-off valve you can find. That means turning each one off and then back on again, under every sink, behind every toilet, at the water heater, at the washing machine, and especially at the main shutoff. The reason is simple. Shut-off valves that sit in one position for years tend to seize up from mineral deposits and corrosion. Then when you actually need to shut one off in an emergency, it won't budge, and a small problem turns into a big one fast. By exercising them once a year, you keep the internal parts moving freely, and you also get a chance to notice early if one is getting stiff or starting to weep. If you find one that's giving you trouble, now you know how to replace it before it matters most. This single habit has saved more homeowners from emergency flooding than almost any other piece of advice I give. It takes about 10 minutes for the whole house, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Before you go, I want to make sure you know about my complete guide, the Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It goes way deeper than we can in a single video, with 85 pages covering everything from clearing any clog to replacing your own water heater. If you want to stop wasting money on simple fixes, this book is for you. Just scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description to get your copy. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one.